Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Wolfpack Way. Today, I have my friend Amanda Aguiar, based out of the Seattle area, Kirkland, Washington. She has done some amazing things in her business. I'm not going to give it away, but ultimately, she went from a full-time career making multiple six figures and has transitioned fully into real estate and just moved her entire focus over to real estate this year. I'm so dang proud of her, but I'm very excited to bring her on. If you are in a position that you feel a little bit stuck, you have to put food on the table and earn money at a regular job or a career, but you really love this real estate thing, Amanda is an absolute must contact. Through the power of co-sponsorship, we can all partner together and we can walk this world together. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Amanda on, and I can't wait to share her story with you because it's 100% inspiring and it's so real and it's so important because so many people are doing or trying to do exactly what she's done. So Amanda, how are we doing today? Thank you so much for coming on.
Hello, hello. I am so excited to be here and feel so honored.
Absolutely. So let's start a little bit about the background. Obviously, you've made that transition this year, but tell us kind of where it all started and what the initial intrigue for real estate was for you. And tell us a little bit about that story.
Absolutely. I wish I had a little bit more creative story to say, I've been dreaming about real estate and I always thought about it, but I really feel like real estate found me. I was just doing my thing, in my tech career here in Seattle, thinking I was living the life. I had a good paying job, love to travel, so the things that I like to do, thankfully, I was already able to do in my current situation, helping, my family where it was needed. And then, I had a friend that was in real estate. And once in a while, I love to host. So I had, parties in my house all the time. And he would come and tell me, like, Amanda, you're going to do great in real estate. And every time I thought about the word real estate, I thought, sell. And I'm like, I hate selling. I don't want to sell anything. Like, please, no. And then he started meeting my friends in my house and helping them buy or sell. And he'll tell me like, hey, this could be you. And I'm like, oh, I'm happy that, I'm connecting people. That's great, but that's not for me. And, so that really went on for a few years. And it was not until the pandemic that I started thinking, what else it was there for me. And even it was not necessarily I was thinking about real estate right away, but I was just like, I'm hitting my ceiling in my current company. We were like a smaller, consulting firm, even though like I was working with Microsoft as my client for the last 12 years. So and they only wanted to keep me there. So I was feeling stuck. I was just like, give me more, give me new clients, give me challenge. I used to say that I thrive in chaos because I like to fix things, if things are just like, I'm just managing, which I was, senior manager. And, but I was just like, I really feel like, I can do more than this. And so I thought like maybe then I started having a conversation, with my fiance at that time, like, should I get my license, and then, we kind of agree on that because I knew it was going to be a change in our lives, right? Because I was not planning to jump into real estate, like this is all I want to do because I had uncertainty. I don't know if this is for me. And, so I went through the process of getting my license. And I made a promise to myself that I wanted to try real estate at least for a full year, that I could go through the whole cycle while having my other job and then make a decision. What do I want to do after that? Mm-hmm. So that was a little bit of kind of like how I got into, even thinking about real estate. It was just really like feeling like, what's the next thing for me?
Right. And I mean, let me pull some humble things out of there. First and foremost, Microsoft's been my client for 12 years. It's just a small consulting firm, probably a little bit limiting there. That's absolutely incredible. Right. But also my friend sold some houses, right? Obviously now that friend is a top producing real estate agent, was a top producing real estate, probably off of your referrals. He's never told me that, but
I know. Now I say, like, can you pay me like my referral fees?
Right. Now those referrals, let's talk about back referrals. But I mean, the abundant mindset that started there, right? With he as a mentor, to say, you could do this, you could have these deals, is absolutely incredible, right? I'm talking to another one of my, partner agents right now, and she's starting this conversation with somebody who led with, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate, like quit talking to my family that I've referred you, quit talking to the contacts I've referred you, but I want you to mentor me. And so that is pretty special right there, obviously in a competitive world and all of that he had the abundant mindset, like, Amanda, like, I'm just doing this and I'm serving them, but come take over. Right. Yeah. And so I wanted to point those two little nuances out for sure. So now we're a year in. Tell me how the first year was and why are we still here? Multiple years in.
I know, right? Well, so I found a true passion. I thought I love business. I always did. That's my background. I have a bachelor in business. And I knew at some point, someday, somewhere, I was going to own my business, right? But I was pretty happy, as I said, where I was at. 1 month in, so from first day, I joined EXP and the Wolfpack, right? So I actually don't have maybe the burnout from some other people or that experience, because I feel like very lucky that I, came in with the right group at the right time. That made my experience just even to the next level. And 1 month in, I swear, if financially I was ready, I would have already quit my job. I was just like, I love this. And it was a lot because, I was totally drinking from the fire hose. It was a whole new concept that I had, no experience, but I had the business background experience, right? So like setting myself up and all those things, my mind, I feel like I was a little bit maybe ahead of someone that is just like not even sure where to start. But, yet I dived into social media from day one as well. That one friend that was poking me to get into the business obviously became my mentor, and that was Sean Bautista. So, definitely give him a lot of credit for that, for like keep pushing me. So I told him, like, I guess I need to do what you do. So I definitely got into, social media, right away. My first month, I got my first lead from social media. My first deal was a social media lead from Facebook, and it was a listing. I didn't even know how to do a presentation. He went with me. He did the presentation and told her she's going to send the paperwork, and then you just sign it. And only my name was there, right? Even though he took the time and he went with me and did it all. And 5 months later, I had closed 5 deals, made almost, 90,000 in GCI. So it was like pretty incredible, like, start knowing I was not expecting any of that. I knew that the average, maybe in 6 months, you can get your first deal. And here, less than 6 months, I had 5 deals closed. So I was definitely on a hype. And
no wonder you liked it.
Right? That made me like very quickly. But yet, because of like, having a high paying job, I have very high paying bills as well, because that's what we do, right? You make more money, you spend more money. So, so I was just still not in a place that I could necessarily say that I would quit. Yeah. And then, I had some personal stuff that it happened to me and really took a toll on me, and my business went a little bit on the sideways. Nothing related, I think, to real estate or the training that I was getting, but me personally, my energy just wasn't matching, right? So I kind of had the little bit of like, man, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, I don't feel like trying to connect with anyone. But I have to say this, that I do feel proud of myself around that time. I stayed committed to the process. I was posting when I don't feel like posting, however I felt like I was committed to that 1 year that I told myself. So I was still showing up to open houses, even when I was getting there and driving, like, I don't want to be here, but I needed to show up. And I feel like that changed everything for me, because I was also showing up for myself, right? Because my word, it's everything. And so in that little transition there within that 1 year, and when I was not feeling so amazing on a personal level, I started, when I was still obviously doing my full-time job at the same time, I was already in the manager level for a couple of years. So I always loved helping people figure out what they're doing, organize their schedule. So I kind of shifted already with the opportunity DXP brought it to us, to create our downline. So I was already starting, to kind of add few agents and, pour in them. I probably was like happy about not doing anything production related and only focusing on, on the agent side and coaching and helping. And you can think like, wow, you're just a few months into the business. How could you do that? And I think obviously just the mentorship and the management side that I already had, that skill set, it helped me because I could still help you create a business plan and, how to organize your schedule and your day, even being, in real estate only for, 6 months, 8 months out of the time. So it was definitely like a whole year. I finished my whole year and but as I said, within a few months, I knew I wanted to do real estate. Now it was more about how and when do I make the shift? Because the vision was already set. I wanted to do real estate. And it just became harder and harder doing both jobs because I dedicated to real estate just as much as I dedicated to my full-time. I always said I had 2 full-time jobs because any minute that I didn't have for, my personal and full-time job, it was dedicated to real estate. I was working 7 days a week for a couple of months straight. I mean, it was draining, it was exhausting, but there was still that, like, I want to do this, right? I'm seeing myself as a new person. And I think, you talk a lot about this because you've been part of the group a little longer, but I honestly felt like I found my tribe within like the first few meetings, just the energy of all the calls that we have. And even though like I'm meeting people that are in other states, right, or other parts of the country or the world, but yet that connection and that collaboration and that winning mindset, I think it really kept me, it captivated me. I'm a person about like, vision and not only the talk, but, the walk. And I really felt that was something about this group that was so unique, especially as the more I talked with other agents, I found out that not everybody had that. So definitely I felt like I grew the most about all my personal level as well. Like I read more books, I listened to more podcasts. So I was investing myself in such a way that I hadn't done in so many years. And that was so inspiring to me.
Yeah. And obviously, I think that's a natural cycle. You had the personal stuff going on, obviously, but it's fun when you're closing deals, right? It's fun when you're doing transactions and the checks are coming in. It's not so fun when you're like, okay, those are done. Now what? And so that mixed with the energy and that kind of stuff was key. But then what you have is something that absolutely people 100% wish upon a star to do, right? Get into real estate, take one track. The first lead generation idea, works, not without hard work or consistency, but that's what every single agent out there, even new or old, would love. Yeah. And then within that time, you built systems, right? You built organization and you were still managing a full-time career. And I think that's the next step of agent success, right? You get a couple deals, you're good to go. Like it's a peak and valley kind of setup at first because you've never done it, right? Yeah. You've never done the listing appointment to the contract. You've never managed the inspections and appraisals and loan issues and all of that. And so you're so focused on that you don't have any vision of what's coming in 30 days. So then you built those systems and yes, hard times call for desperate measures, but you were able to build that system and, pick yourself up and do that. And ultimately that's an incredible story. It's a success story that most people wouldn't have overcome given, the early success on social media and how that works. And now the fact that you're able to build that with other people is incredible. So talk to me a little bit about the organization and systems. What did a day look like, a Tuesday,
Yeah.
right, look like in Amanda's world, while juggling all of this and, maybe getting a house under contract on the weekend and having that stuff come up?
Yeah, no, I mean, while I was still having my other job, I had a little bit more of flexibility of putting the meetings more around what worked for me. So I tried to put my, full-time job, all the meetings in the morning. So as much as I could, just kind of, I'm present, I'm doing all of that. But I bought a second computer. So I had my laptop for, my full-time job, and I had a laptop for my real estate. And I felt like literally sometimes I was going from a meeting, at my job to a meeting with an agent, with a meeting at my job, with a meeting, with a client that I'm talking to. It was not necessarily like the most organized, even though obviously I booked things accordingly to the space I had on my calendar. And, showings, happen most of the time. People are working their typical 9 to 5. So I knew that was going to be in the evenings. I never really worked in my other job in the evenings. I didn't have to, unless I had calls with some folks in India that helped, and maybe once a month. But, so I knew my evenings was going to be free. So a typical busy day would pretty much look like jumping from full-time job to real estate to full-time job to real estate, and then showing homes, in the evening, and then coming home. Like I would sit in my garage like 10 p.m. and I'll be just like, my husband will open the door, like, what are you doing? I just needed a time to decompress inside my car in my garage before I would come home, and now shift into family mode at 10 p.m., But there were definitely some nights, and some days that like a full day would have looked just like that. And if I was just, or if I didn't have any clients at the moment, I would just be doing going to empty vacant homes and just start building content, right? Because I was doing that as well. So if I didn't have a client to show homes, I needed to be out and about, recording content, because I really went hard in, I think I was posting at least a minimum of 4 times a week, probably more than that, like from the get-go. So, it was a lot, because I was like recording on the same day, editing. I was doing everything myself, right? And mind you, I still had another job, right? So, and posting it, and just like, what am I going to do today? It was like every day was like, what am I going to do today? As I got better to the whole batching and, but that first few months, it was just this adrenaline of like, there's so much to do. I still feel that way today, to be honest, like, because the goals change, the goals are bigger. So I always feel like there's never enough time to do everything I want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately you heard it correctly. She was doing her production business. She was doing her revenue share business, and she had her career going as well. So multiple businesses being built at the time in which she had a 40-hour, 9 to 5. So pretty incredible there. So let's transition a little bit into the coaching and mentorship. When you say you were recording content, for the most part, you were just building a production business and agents were reaching out to you, correct? So talk to me a little bit about your Instagram strategy and, how you've, fell into the coaching and mentorship, beyond just like using it as a distraction from the production side.
Yeah, there was definitely, the growth pains in the beginning, because I was deciding, which I feel like a question that a lot of agents have. Should I build a whole new page on my Instagram if you already were present on Instagram, or do you just build upon, your existing? Because I was already there. I love posting photos of whatever I was doing. I did not like the camera. So I just want to put that out there. Like, I did not like hearing my voice. But I love taking pictures. So the first shift in there was to actually transition my current Instagram page and just make that into real estate. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of opinions. I would go out, people make fun of all my posts. I mean, like, these were supposed to be friends, right? So I got a little bit of everything. But I think the strategy for me at the time, it was not even like, today I'm a lot better of like, I'm more intentional with what I post. But in the beginning, the idea is I want to be known. I want to be loud. I want people to know what I was doing. and there was not really like what are the best posts, that I should, it was just like, what was the ideas that I found there, like, with my little research. At that time, I was not using, ChatGPT or anything like that. So it was a lot of search like on Pinterest. So it was a little bit what kind of, I felt like aligned with me, right? And obviously following some other realtors around the US, and kind of checking out their pages. Did some funny videos here and there, but that was not really me, So I just feel like in the beginning, I was just trying a little bit of everything. I did go through, the Social Agent Academy for Instagram at the time. But as I said, I was trying so many things. Like I opened my YouTube channel around the same time and trying to manage, an IG page. So it was just a lot that at the point I was just trying to get content out without a plan. It was just more like, I want to be out there. I want people to see me. And honestly, that really helped me because after posting for a few months, people thought I was in the business for a year or more than a year because there was so much content. Even though if I would say like, oh, I only been in the business for 3 months, thankfully, it was very rare that I had people ask me how long I was in business. And I didn't want to stay on that conversation anyways. And if that conversation came, it was always like, my team, my group, we've been in business for over 10 years. We have 15 years of experience, whatever it was, using the leveraging, right, of those that were around me. But in the beginning, I just want to say like it was messy. It was just more, the only purpose was I want people to know what I'm doing. And as I kind of transitioned those pages, I did take the time to text and contact everybody on my phone book from A to Z. It probably took me like 2 months because every day I would do like 10. I had a lot of people on my phone. Mm-hmm. And just texting them, hey, I'm in real estate. If I'm super excited. Here are my links, follow me. So that was kind of, YouTube, Instagram, I think that's the part of me being organized from just my previous job. So I wanted I wanted to have a brand. I wanted to have like things organized and in syncs, but I was just, making moves and making sure everybody knew what I was doing.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about the market research. Did you go back and look at some of those and see did you have over time develop some idea of what the audience wanted?
Yeah. So then after, as I said, first was just like, get out there, no excuses, just do something because, the whole planning can stop you. Right. And then from there, I kind of start more organizing, like, Monday, this is going to be my Monday motivation. So it's more a little bit of a quote or something that is not related to real estate because I still want it to be me. Right. Mm-hmm. And then, I had like one day a week was going to be like a market report, just like what is going on in the market, just a little video that was created on Canva. Canva definitely was like, where I was at to create all my content. And then I was still not sure, like, buyer, seller. I wasn't necessarily focused on one or the other from the beginning. So I was just kind of getting content that was around both of them, mm-hmm. but also content that I needed to learn because I didn't know what all the different type of loans, as an example, what they were. I mean, I had gone through the process myself, but I didn't even remember, I already had been able to purchase a condo on my own. But, but it was just like, so I feel like I was learning as I was posting it, mm-hmm. and it was hard because I'm the type of person that I like to know before I talk about it. But I just kind of had to get over that. So I personally never had a client reach out to me and say, I started, I want to work with you because I found this video. Mm-hmm. But I just kept my page specific with tips and for either a buyer or a seller, just kind of, I wanted just to show the authority, right? That I'm educating. Some message was always about like, I'm educating you in a term. I'm educating you on something that is happening right now. Why right now take action? It's good. What's going on with the rates? What's going on with, the homes? Why is this good for buying? What's this good for selling? So that was kind of always has been the message, throughout the year. I feel like the content improved, I improved in how I made my videos.
Of course, yeah.
but the message is kind of being the same. Like, you're gonna come in my page and the whole idea is that I'm educating in something. I'm building trust with you. I mean, it's incredible. Like I literally am under contract with 2 clients right now that found me on social media, right? So it's just like, it still blows my mind that, someone is going to reach out to you because they found on social media and they already know they want to work with you. I didn't have to sell myself, right? Yeah. It was just like that my social media has already been doing that for me. And that's what I tell a lot of the agents. It's just like, the reason I'm going social media today, it's not for necessarily for anybody else, but this is your resume. I mean, like people are going to find you. They can go on LinkedIn, but not everybody use LinkedIn, like LinkedIn, it's more, I don't know. It's a different, I am there today, but I kind of repurpose some of my content to go in there as well. But most of the people that find me has been come through, from IG and as well agents, right? They see what I'm doing, they start following me. And that was something that I created. I heard of people doing this after I was doing. So I don't know if I just woke up and had this idea, but I've been using this from the very beginning, thinking like, oh, okay, we're social. So I created like a 10, 12-second video that whenever someone follow me, and I have 2, if I look at your page and I see that you're not a realtor, possibly just a normal person that you just started following my page, I have a 10-second video that just say, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for following my page. If you ever have any questions about real estate, once you get together, let me know. And then I have one for agents. If I check their page and I see they're a realtor, and it's just like, hey, thanks for following my page. And if you ever want to partner up or, send referrals, anything that I can help you with, let me know. So that was being something that was more, and then the amount of actually videos I would get back from people recording back to me. And this is a video that I sorry if you listen to this, that I record and I would use for a whole year. It was not like I was doing one every month or one, like, it just worked. I was just like, I still looks like me. It still sounds like me. So, and it was definitely an addition and a little touch, because you can follow some people and you get nothing, right? So it was just like, hey, and they're like, is this, automated? And I'm like, no, very manual. I hope someday we can automate that. If tell me. But, it's very manual.
That's interesting. And the honest truth is that we offer at the Wolfpack the Social Agent Academy. Very few people go through it, right? I can tell you that Amanda went through it because the underlying themes, done is better than perfect.
Yep.
Right? That's the beginning. What gets measured gets managed. That's the middle. And then the piece you said about the videos, right? No one talks about what video they watched where they were like, oh, that's the one. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Maybe a property tour. But people's first question, as you've said, is always, what videos should I record?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. Just record them. Right. And you're going to be bad at first. So done is better than perfect. Once you have a sample size, you can measure what gets managed, and then the presence takes over and you're there. So, obviously partnering with the Wolfpack, you get the Social Agent Academy for free. And obviously Amanda and I have built out systems, processes, and all the things to help you with certain parts of the business that we're good at. So we're practitioners in the business. So if co-sponsorship is on the radar, it's a perfect match right here. Book a call with one of us below in the links and we'll go from there. But let's kind of dive into, as we wrap up, overcoming the fear. First, you talked about burnout, right? So how'd you get out of that burnout? Just a quick, minute. How'd you overcome that? I know some things changed and so on. How'd you get over that? And then overcoming the fear to take the full leap into real estate this year. Kind of talk about those two things, as it's a huge part of what everybody's going through.
Yeah, so the burnout really came with the systems and organizing my schedule, right? Putting some boundaries for me. The boundary was more for me than for everybody else. So the moment that I was just like, this is how late I take calls. This is, how early I take calls, so that I actually had a little bit of, there's not much you can do before 8 a.m. anyways, right? So it's just like, even if someone messaged you, just putting the right expectations with the people that are working with you and for yourself. Like, in the end of the day, you need to follow, right? So I think that was things that helped me automating few things on my process, just taking away. So the more I learned, the more I tried to figure out like what I don't need to do. I did hire some virtual assistants. So that actually also helped me a lot with just, some of the lower hanging fruit, so that I can just spend the time talking to people, building the relationship, which is something that they cannot do for me, because I like that personal touch as well. And then, kind of shifting to taking the leap of faith. Obviously, it was frustrating because it took me a lot longer. It took me 2.5 years to make the move. We all have the plans, right? If you're like me, you want to, especially maybe on the women's side, I will speak to it. Like, we are more thoughtful about our next move, our responsibilities, and financial, especially, obviously. Like, I was just like, okay, I need to save this much money, then I can, make the shift. And last year I did make them, last year I thought was going to be my year by June, and I saved the money. I closed the deals, and then, life happened and we bought an investment property, which is great, right? It was just, but I was so frustrated because that was not my first goal. It ended up being the family goal, but not my first goal. And so I kind of had to push it a little bit. And then towards the end of the year, I told my husband, and I said, I am not how I wanted to do the shift, but I'm just letting you know, in January, I'm quitting my job. And obviously he was just like, what? And I was just like, we put the family, goal first, and now I'm going to do it no matter if things are how we thought it needed to be. So to say, jumping in it, it was, nerve wracking, but also like so excited because I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so yeah, January, and towards the end of January this year, I left my full-time job and started just doing real estate. It was the best decision I made. Definitely the first couple of months, I was a little bit, sitting the edge of my chair, figuring it out. Like, now I have all this time. I don't have a paycheck coming every 2 weeks. The safety net is gone. And, I had a closing January. My next closing was not until April. And I'm like, what is happening? And, I had to trust the process. And the moment that I was just like, no, I know I'm supposed to do this. And there was never a doubt in me that this was what I was supposed to do. It was just more like, okay, what is the different tactics? What do I need to do? And then I feel like from April on, the floodgates been open. Obviously, a lot of hard work. It's not just things are falling from the sky. But, I already have, as of now, made more than what I made for my salary, my full-time salary last year. And so now I'm kind of going towards just, matching what I made with real estate. So then I can be, and I think I'm actually getting there with some closings that I have.
Yeah. That's funny.
Match this year, with real estate, combine what I made last year with my full-time in real estate on the side.
And I remember the conversations, right? That's the community that we offer. Amanda's like, Jeremy, what did I do? And it's just like, it's okay. It'll happen. And then big things happened, obviously, with that big closing that you just posted about on Instagram. So you'll have to go to her Instagram to follow up on that. But as we finish out, I always ask, give me 2 sentences that you would give an agent as advice from what you've experienced in this industry.
Yeah. Fear is real, but your goals need to be bigger. So go act right now. And a second one that I would say is like, you are your biggest cheerleader. So don't wait for anybody to cheer you on to be in this business. Like, you might be walking alone for a little bit, but you got this.
Ooh, I love that one, especially because you started this with the mentor and getting into it. And I think mentors are just that. They're mentors. and they're not going to, handhold you forever. They're not always going to be there as they were at one point in that season. And so taking the accountability and responsibility on yourself and supplementing your career with mentors and friendships and relationships that will help you is incredible. So I love that. So where can people connect? We know the answer, but tell us what it is and we'll go from there.
Well, I am IG. It's like, I live and breathe in there. You'll get to see what I'm doing with my day. I love stories because I feel like it's the way I connect with people. I am revamping my YouTube channel to be focusing on the side that I love, which is helping agents. So definitely, I'll give all the links to Jeremy. You can, find me there, kind of bringing amazing producers to talk about it, but also sharing some, nuggets that hopefully will help you take your business to the next level. And obviously, we're here to help and partner up with you. Anything that we can do, we want to see you succeed.
Yep, absolutely. Feel free to book a call if partnering with the two of us would change your trajectory. We're more than happy to be a part of that story. Amanda, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Take care.
Absolutely.
Bye.
5 deals in your first 5. Oh, Amanda, 5 deals in your first 5 years. There we go. Amanda, 5 deals in your first 5 months while being a part-time agent, managing a full-time job, salary, all the things. Tell me what you did, because that is the secret sauce that agents need.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely jumped in the social media wagon from day one. And my very first deal in 30 days came from a Facebook post that I did. So there was a little bit of mix of social media and, sphere of influence with the people that I knew that helped me get those 5 deals in 5 months, which was incredible.
Okay. So tell me the overall system that you used just to get that first deal. What was it?
Honestly, it was a very simple post that I feel like a lot of agents have fear on. I just did, hey, to a lot of all my Facebook groups that I was involved in, and say, I am a real estate agent. If you ever need anything, please contact me. That same message I blasted out in all my Facebook groups that I was involved.
I love it. So simple. Follow Amanda Aguiar official over on IG for more tips just like that. Perfect.
Cool.
All right. Amanda, you're known for taking social media by the horns, no cold calling, no door knocking, and just diving straight into social media. Tell me about your journey as far as high level framework of how you got your first 5 deals through social media.
Absolutely. I think, being able to get through the Social Agent Academy, course that we have here with the Wolfpack was definitely incredible because it gave me the framework and, the ideas right away. But the biggest thing here is just I wanted to get known in the social media world. So it didn't matter what the content was. I focused on getting done. And I'll tell you, it was not perfect.
Done is better than perfect, right? Absolutely. What happened after you got through that phase?
Yeah. So, obviously I got a little bit more intentful, especially, getting deals. You get excited about it. So if anything, I went from posting maybe 4 to 5 times a week. And today I post probably 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay, perfect. So dial in that system. What gets measured gets managed. And then ultimately, have you ever had a client say, hey, Amanda, I chose you as my realtor because I watched this one video?
I have to say, absolutely not. Usually it's just you start building trust with your brand on social media and they will come. It doesn't matter which video it is, just do it.
I love it. Comment partner below if you're interested in partnering with Amanda and myself so that we can take these deals and help you with the modern way and the Social Agent Academy within the Wolfpack.